All right, we got the draft behind us, most of free agency behind us, but still a lot of question marks out there. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't decided. Micah Parsons still hasn't been re-upped by the Dallas Cowboys. Tyreek Hill could potentially be traded. The Hall of Fame game kicks things off July the 31st, the last day of July. This is the last day of April. We've got 3 months to go, and Mike Renner is going to bring his 5 moves that need to happen over the next several months. And we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Why do you want KC to make a move for a former top 5 pick just 3 years ago?
I think because, Kayvon Thibodeau is buried on the depth chart there in New York after drafting Abdul Carter. I don't think he's going to be happy after being a 3-year starter, getting relegated to a backup role there. So that's one. And then two, we talked about in the last segment, after losing Turk Wharton, it really is just George Karlaftis and Chris Jones. They don't have a plan C there that can get after the passer. Their former first rounder, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, guy played only 358 snaps last year. Couldn't even see the football field. So if they want to get back to a Super Bowl, and obviously they're still in this window, they need to upgrade their pass rush. And Kayvon Thibodeau is one of the few guys on the market that could do just that. And he's on a contract for 2 more years. So you get 2 years of him. That seems like an attractive option if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs have been to 7 straight conference championship games. This season will mark 30 years since the last conference title game appearance for the Dallas Cowboys. And Mike, they surprised us again on draft weekend, not taking a single wide receiver.
Yeah, I could not believe it. That's why I think they may be in the market for a veteran. A trade. Tyreek Hill has obviously been very vocal about it. I think it just makes too much sense because right now, as it stands, CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Tolbert. That's your 3 deep. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, it's going to be like 200 targets for CeeDee Lamb again. This offense and this team, truthfully, if you're just stacking it up in the East, they might be at 4 now. They might have been passed up by the Giants. I mean, they're at least a clear tier behind the Eagles and Commanders. This is not a playoff team. And for as much as they're paying this roster and have some highly paid guys, when that's the case, you think you're in a window. When you're paying your quarterback that sort of money, you're doing it because you think you're in a window. And they're just not right now. This could get you in that sort of window if you add a piece like Tyreek Hill. Obviously, the Dolphins would have to eat some of the cap space to do it. But with them in a rebuild as it stands, I think they'd be more than willing to if the draft compensation was right.
And Mike, you have another one for the Cowboys. It's not a move, but it is a must. What is it?
It's extend Micah Parsons. Don't wait till the last minute. That's why you're in this cap situation. That's why you're falling behind in the East. You just saw Myles Garrett go for $40 million per year. If Aiden Hutchinson comes back healthy, the Lions are going to do the right thing by him and extend him at the first opportunity they can, and he's going to get more than $40 million a year. Well, that means the price for Parsons just goes up and up every single year because obviously, given his history, he's going to want to be the highest paid guy in football, and he rightfully has earned that right. So the price tag's only going to go up. Get it done now so you can get some cap relief from him on that year 5 of his deal because you can make that number smaller this year, push it down in the future. You just got to do it, Dallas. It makes too much sense. So, yeah, I think the Micah Parsons deal, if it waits to the last minute, they're going to have to pay top dollar once again.
Okay, a couple more moves that Mike Renner says need to be made before the season begins. The Minnesota Vikings yesterday extended an all-pro defender in Andrew Van Ginkel, 1 year, $23 million. But what big move would you like to see Minnesota make on defense?
I think they need to trade for a cornerback. They've lost a lot of pieces from that secondary. Stephon Gilmore, Cam Bynum. This cornerback group right now with like Isaiah Rodgers, Mekhi Blackman, Byron Murphy, it's ugly. If you really think you're in a championship window, you need to be better than that at the cornerback position. And obviously Jalen Ramsey requested a trade. I think he's perfect for Brian Flores' defense. I think he'd even be an upgrade from Stephon Gilmore and what he was a year ago and bring you back to that potential. So it's a move that if I'm looking around the NFL and who makes the most sense, it's the Minnesota Vikings. I think they can afford to make a play like this when you have that cheap rookie contract in J.J. McCarthy.
The Vikings took themselves out of that Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes thing, and here we sit, final day of April, and we still don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers or anybody else. So what's that move that needs to be made?
It's just he needs to sign with the Steelers. Not for the Steelers' sake, but for our sake. We got to stop talking about this. I don't want to come on this show every week and say where Aaron Rodgers is going. We all know it's the Steelers or he's retiring. No one else wants him at this point. And we know you're not starting Mason Rudolph. We just don't lie to us. We know he's not your starting quarterback. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I think he can work out. I think he's in a great spot. If he did anything well last year, it was throw those sideline back shoulders, go balls. He just didn't have the best receivers for that. Pittsburgh might have the best receivers in the NFL in that regard, in George Pickens and DK Metcalf. So I think the fit can work. It's just let's help us stop talking about it here.
Please, your mouth to God's ears. Mike Renner joining us here on HQ with 5 moves that need to be made.
Number 10.
Yeah, I like the value, obviously. I wasn't as high on Shedeur as some folks like Mel Kiper Jr. were, but I did think that he was a second-round pick in this draft, so to get him in the 5th round represents an obvious value, and I do like the scheme fit with Kevin Stefanski's play-action based. They're going to run the ball with Quinshawn Judkins and Dylan Sampson added in this draft at running back, so the fit is good. I also like that he's going to be behind some established veterans in Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett probably sticks around, so he's going to have an opportunity to learn from some players who were first-round picks previously, and he can get acclimated to the NFL. Now, Cam Ward is probably the least talked about number 1 overall pick since I've been doing this. Cam Ward is a baller. He's a playmaker. The fit with Tennessee is going to be fantastic. I wish they had a couple more weapons for him. You can't fill every need in one draft or one offseason, unfortunately, but his arm talent, his ability, the way that he can move in and out of the pocket to find passing windows and then hit you with that shortstop motion. He dials up velocity really, really well. So Cam Ward, a great fit with the Titans. Now, I like the Jalen Milroe fit a lot with the Seattle Seahawks. He's not going to be pressured to play right away. Sam Darnold's there. But we do have a team with Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, who I believe will get him on. We could even see him in some short yardage packages, taking snaps out of the backfield. And finally, lose guy, Tyler Shuck. I didn't like the value. I thought it was a little bit of a reach at 40. However, the Saints need a quarterback who can play right away. After Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck is the most pro-ready quarterback in the entire 2025 draft class, thanks to his experience in college from Oregon to Texas Tech to Louisville. He is ready to go right away, and he has some weapons to work with and an improved offensive line down in New Orleans.
All right, Lou, I'm getting to you on Chuck because I know you're itching to talk about him. But quickly, Matt, why was it a reach for you to get him at 40?
Yeah, I thought he was more of just on value, I thought he was more of a late second, early 3rd round pick was where I had him rated. I do worry. My only concern with Tyler Shuck is, did he figure it out at age 25? Because he's been in college for 6 or 7 years. And that's a question that really can't be answered until he gets to the NFL. Is he topped out because he's been in college for so long? This guy was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon. He's been there for a minute. So did he find that success this past year based on his age and the reps that he's had? Or sometimes it's just a guy breaks through. It happened to Jaden Daniels. It happened to Joe Burrow. So we'll see once he gets out on the field.
We've sufficiently annoyed Lewis, which is perfect, as you can go ahead, Lou, and defend your guy. Why is Shuck ready to start right now for the Saints?
Well, look, he has been around for a little while. The only thing that I got annoyed by is, has he topped out? I mean, Geno Smith was in the league how long before he actually hit his stride? Sam Darnold has been in the league how long before he actually hit his stride? Tyler Shuck's age is so overblown, it's absolutely ridiculous, okay? It's overblown. At 25, we're talking about him like he's Tom Brady, like he's 48, and we're like, oh my God, he might not make it through his first contract. Look, he is someone who has been tutored by 2 of the very best in all of college football, in Jeff and Brian Brom. Jeff Brom is made for the pro game. Jeff Brom should be getting head coaching interviews to coach in the NFL. Why? Because his offense mirrors everything that you see on Sundays. The way in which he installs offense mirrors what you see on Sunday. The way in which he teaches the quarterback position in terms of protections, identifying defenses, going through progressions, the kind of footwork, the kind of decision-making you need to have. These are all things that he's done in his career as a player. He's done it as a coach. He transferred them over to Tyler Shuck, who really, when I talked to Jeff down in Louisville this year, doesn't have a whole lot of deficiencies. He doesn't have, he's plenty mobile in the pocket. He runs 4.6 at 220 pounds. He's got a rocket arm. He's super smart. They couldn't overload him. Here's the number one issue with Tyler, which was he broke his collarbone twice and broke his lower leg. And his lower leg was broken because of a hip drop tackle. Somebody rolled on it. Well, if you tell me a way in which you can prevent that, there's some kind of leg lift or plyometric you can do to prevent someone from rolling on your lower leg and breaking it, I'd like to hear it, because you're probably going to be a multi-billionaire. This guy's going to be just fine. Kellen Moore targeted this guy. If you listen to Kellen Moore talk about him through the pre-draft process, they speak the same language. Tyler will hit the ground running. Tyler's going to have a chance to be the day one starter because we don't know what's going on with Derek Carr. We don't know what that shoulder looks like. He's in such a unique position, and I think he is uniquely qualified to handle it.
I mean, look, I don't have anything else. I mean, Lou ate the whole meal when talking about Tyler Shough.
What did it taste like, Lou?
I'm telling you, dog. But what I will say is this, Lou. What I will say is this. When I had the conversation over the phone talking about it, the older quarterbacks have found early success in the NFL, and all I had to attribute it to was two guys that Matt mentioned, and Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. And coming out of college, whether that's maturity, whether that's understanding how to handle the mental aspect of the NFL, that maturity somehow, I think, plays into how well these guys have played early, beyond the amount of reps that they've had in college as well. So, and New Orleans needed a quarterback. I didn't feel like it was a reach. I disagree with Matt on that because of the status of where they are with Derek Carr. But ultimately, hopefully he can stay in that same vein of the older college quarterbacks that have come out and found a tremendous amount of success. One that I didn't mention is Bo Nix as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his age, you can look at that many different ways. I love the fact that Lewis says Kellen Moore and Tyler Shough speak the same language. Well, they should. They were born around the same time. You know, I think about where I was when I was 25. You know, when I was 25,
there you go, Art. There you go.
So when I was 25, I was starting in Washington with the late great Sean Taylor. But that didn't mean I didn't continue to grow. I didn't continue to progress. I didn't continue to ascend. What that does tell me is Tyler Shough may be in a position of maturity where he is ready to start in New Orleans, which isn't a perfect place for a young rookie quarterback. You will need a level of maturity. You will need to understand how to handle adversity. I believe Tyler Shough has some experience in that. What I do know is he can flat out throw a football. He understands where it needs to go, when it needs to get there, and exactly where it needs to be on the receiver to give him the best opportunity to catch the ball. That's what it takes to be a quarterback in this league. There's enough film on him to know what he can do well. He also has enough experience to communicate that to Kellen Moore. I believe this is an extremely good pick for the New Orleans Saints. It's going to be, do they have enough around him to protect this quarterback and allow him to grow?
Lou wanted dessert there for a second. I see you asking for a little more.
You see those hand signals
I saw you
right there. I just wanted to say one other thing. Last year, remember, a lot of the talk surrounding Bo Nix centered around his age.
Chad, I have one question.
Centered around the fact that he had been in college a long time, and we were like, hey, you know what? Bo Nix may be topped up. Bo Nix may not get any better. But Sean Payton saw something that a lot of people didn't. And a little birdie has told me Sean Payton really likes Tyler Shough, even though he didn't need a quarterback.
I heard that, birdie.
I have one question for you guys. How is it that I'm on today with the three best dressed men at ESPN and I'm the only one that wore a suit and tie?
Yeah, what is happening there?
There was a group text that went out.
Because you think it's mid-November.
ESPN.
Mac, that's because I do it so much, I ain't got nothing to prove.
Oh, listen, I was about to say mid-November, Swagoo. Were you wearing a suit and a tie in mid-November either? I don't think so, which is totally great. We don't need to wear that on this show. But Matt, we're going to see when you come back if you have an outfit change. Like you could go take your tie off.
It's okay to fit in.
Up a little bit.
Bro.
It's okay to fit in. You're standing out for many reasons amongst this group.
We're going to leave it there. When we come back, we're talking about more on these Steelers quarterbacks. What's going on in the Steel City? I can't stand you, Ryan Clark. They're hedging all their bets on Aaron Rodgers.